We'll call this meeting of the Craven County Board of Commissioners regular session for Monday, February the 5th, 2024 to order. Madam Clerk, if you will, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hunt. Commissioner Mark.
Here.
Commissioner Mitchell.
Here.
Commissioner Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Howard.
Here.
Vice Chairman Bucher.
Here.
Chairman Jones.
Here. Ladies and gentlemen, if you will, please let's stand together as Mr. Grady, our county attorney, will lead us in prayer. Then I will ask you to remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance to the American flag.
Almighty and eternal God, you have blessed us with creation and made us fellow workers in bringing about your kingdom. So draw our hearts to you, so guide our minds, so fill our imaginations, that we may have insight into your purposes for our county and wisdom and determination in providing for its future, that in all our works begun, continued, and ended in you, we may glorify you in our care for all your people. All this we ask in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening to each of you, and welcome to the Craven County Board of Commissioners, which is your meeting, and to those that may be viewing online, we welcome you. I would ask for those who are in attendance tonight, if we could, to make sure that our phones are on silence. We would appreciate it. Commissioners, you have before you your agenda packets. Are there any items you desire to add or to pull from tonight's agenda?
Make a motion to approve the agenda as is.
All right, we have a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion.
We have a second. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Hear none. All those in favor of approving the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. The first item we have is the petition of citizens for agenda topics. Vice Chair Bucher,
We have none.
we have nobody signed up.
Any agenda topics?
Okay. All right, we will go to item 2. Craven County Schools proposed repair and renovation reallocation. We're honored this evening to have with us Mr. Stacy Lee and our superintendent, Ms. Dr. Wendy Miller. Welcome to both of you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm here tonight to present or ask for approval for repair and renovation reallocation of funds. And just a reminder what these funds are, it's an allocation that we receive annually from North Carolina Department of Instruction, and it's to use on repair and renovation projects. And every district in North Carolina receives the same amount of money. And if you go to slide number 1, this is what was previously approved, and you can look at the different categories that are there: internet, phone cabling. We did a ADA lift improvement at Grover C. We did a canopy job at Grover C. We did painting at multiple sites. We did grease trap work at 2 schools, safety and security updates. So these were the allocations that were previously approved. If you go to the second chart, this is what we're asking to be approved tonight, the reallocation. So what you're seeing here is we've completed some of these projects. Some have come in less than what we anticipated as far as cost. So we've taken those numbers plus a new allocation from DPI and bunched all that money together into a new category called HVAC and controls for $221,000. What we're planning to do with that money is every year we have HVAC projects that are part of our normal capital request. We will move one of those projects forward, use the $221,000, which would eliminate one project that would be in the capital request, and hopefully that makes sense. So we're asking for approval for chart number 2, where the allocation is $927,000 across those categories.
Okay, Commissioners, you have any questions for Mr. Lee and Dr. Miller? I will just tell the board that Vice Chair Bucher and myself, we met with you a few weeks ago. We discussed this, and you shared the same thing you did here. We asked a few questions, but Vice Chair Bucher and myself, County Manager, were satisfied with the conversation that we had and felt like it was appropriate to bring it for the board tonight. Commissioner Smith, you had something?
No, I was going to make a motion.
All right. All right.
I make a motion that we approve the repair and renovation allocation.
All right, we have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second from Commissioner Mark. And the motion is to consider approval of the reallocation of the public school building repair and renovation fund as presented, and to approve the $127,000 budget amendment needed in order to distribute the lottery proceeds. Any discussion on the motion?
No discussion, just clarification that the real increase in change just for public consumption is the 127,000 that's coming from the state, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay. All right, any additional questions? All right, hearing none, Madam Clerk, if you will, please call the roll.
Commissioner Mark,
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Bucher,
Yes.
Chairman Jones.
Yes. Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Lee. Dr. Miller, while you're here, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I reckon I am going to catch you. We're honored to have you. Thank you for being here. You want to share anything about what's going on in Craven County Schools with us?
Lots of good things going on. We are in the process, and we'll be engaging and asking some of you to engage with us on our new strategic plan for the next 5 years. Had a consultant here today working with our principals. Certainly going to get community involvement. Very excited. Something that was just released yesterday. Our projected scores pre-pandemic in Craven County Schools is actually above where they predicted we'd be even before the pandemic. So lots of good things, particularly in elementary school reading. I'm really proud in the last 3 years what we've done there. So I look forward to sharing that with you and also engaging all of you in the community in our strategic plan, because it's not just about the school system, it's about our community working together.
Good. Any questions?
Is she taking questions?
I can.
Thank you. Just regarding your strategic plan, I know obviously that could potentially involve a lot of tax dollars. How involved is, say, like Jack Veit and his team going to be involved in that?
They'll all be invited. Really, the strategic plan is about goals we're setting for the school system. Certainly in that will be facilities and all of that, but there's no dollar amount attached to the plan. But we will invite all of you, along with Mr. Veit and his team, to be engaged in that process.
Thank you, because last time we had a strategic plan that involved I think it was Dr. Doyle, and involved quite a bit of tax dollars. That's what I'm thinking of.
You're
Thank you.
correct. And we will more likely say things like improve safety and security in our buildings, and we'll not have a number. When we get to that part, certainly we'll be involved in that, and our monthly meetings, we will have no surprises for you if we ask for anything.
Commissioner Mitchell.
Okay. I hear strategic plan, and I know there's frequently a cost to do one. But the question that I always come down to is, when will we see the implementation plan?
It will begin July 1, and it'll go for the next 5 years. And this time, I think the real difference is we're going to have scorecards along the way. So each year, I'll be able to present to the board and the commissioners how we've done along the way.
I don't think I'm explaining myself very well. When I mean an implementation plan, I mean who does what, when, how, by what gateway.
All of that will be in the plan with goals, and it will have owners of each goal.
Okay,
and we will annually update the commissioners as well as the board on how we're progressing toward that 5-year goal.
So this is a dual plan, a strategic plan and implementation plan.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. That was the question I was asking.
Mr. Sullivan, you mentioned that the reading had gone up since the COVID. What is the percentage that we are at?
It depends on what grade level. We're above about 58 to 60%.
And we were way around 47?
Yes, sir. Below 40, or around 45%.
Anyone else? Not, again, thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you for your
Appreciate what
support.
both of you do. Thank you. Okay, item 3. Mr. County Manager, if you want to come, we have a subscription agreement you want to explain to us.
Good evening, Commissioners. Mr. Chairman, thank you for the opportunity. We have an interesting item for you tonight. It's a service called Polymorphic, and I believe almost every commissioner has either met Parth and his team or has demoed the product here with us locally back in the fall. But what Polymorphic is it's a growing, in our industry, there's a growing demand for public information and citizen-type issue citizen issue tracking. And that's what Polymorphic does. It's related to our county services. We've identified that as a need. We get certainly a lot of issues through my office or other offices in the county. And what this product will do, we'll give it a streamlined approach where that's taken in, it's noted, there's action on it, and it comes back to a resolution. So it allows us to track that. It also allows us to track the resources that are going along with that. We're asking for a contract from February 1st of 2024 to June 30th, 2024 for $10,500, and we're going to look at two main offices to focus on initially, which will be the county manager's office, including the commissioners, and our solid waste department there, where we get a tremendous amount of complaints and issues about recycling pickup, trash pickup, illegal dumping, a variety of things. And this will give Stephen, who's here in the back, a tool so he can track where all that's happening. So be happy to answer questions. Mr. Bennett's here for the technical side, and I can answer the practical side.
Commissioner Howard.
I think mine's more practical side, and of course I was part of the presentation with this, and I like the product. What do you think if you were to take this and put it into people terms? Like how many people, if you had someone to do the things that this is going to do for you, what would that cost be? So I look at it as a cost savings.
Well, so there's the concept of missed opportunity, right? So you get a text message on a Saturday afternoon, somebody has an issue, and you remember it 2 weeks later, so you lost that opportunity in between. Same thing happens to staff, right? Whether we see somebody in person, what this will do is give commissioners a portal right there. You take down the address, the name, whatever the issue is, and you submit it. It routes itself to the right person, and then we address it whenever we flip on the switch. From a people standpoint, it's hard to answer that, Commissioner. I mean, in the future, maybe it could eliminate some of that, but what I think it does is it makes us more efficient in how we use the people that we have.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
My comment there would be, while it may not save us any people at the beginning, what my understanding was, it would probably help us not add people as we go down the road, because the efficiency, the current people will be able to do the job even as the county grows, the complaints grow, whatever grows, this product will allow the current number of people. So that's kind of how I looked at it.
Yep.
Not so much saving up front, but saving as we go down the road.
Well, that was my thought. Like if you were to hire people to do what this is going to do, not that you're going to cut anybody.
Sure.
Hire people to do what this is going to do. It's doing the job of a person or two at
Absolutely.
least. Because it would
That
take
part,
a
yes.
lot of manpower to do that
Absolutely, sir.
for a fraction of the cost.
Yep.
Commissioner Smith, and then we'll go to Commissioner.
I look at it as a positive in the way you mentioned, but however, also with a public relations issue. Because people, when they ask for something to be done, they like to know that we are listening and that we do it quickly. So I think when we address an issue a little quicker, it builds better feelings toward the commissioners.
Yes, ma'am. That's exactly it.
Commissioner Mitchell.
With it, you may have said this, and I may have lost it when I was trying to keep track of the technology.
Sure.
Is this also going to be on the county website?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I see this as a tasker tracking system.
Yep.
Person A calls in, they're concerned about B, and county responds to them, and if we don't, we have a tracking system that says why.
Yep. That's exactly it.
Okay.
And if it's not addressed in a time, it goes from green to yellow to red, and then it becomes a highlight and it blinks, and there's all types of notifications. And it helps us be more efficient, because also we get a whole lot, particularly Stephen's office. I mean, there's a whole lot of complaints. And if he's gotten a street and 5 Mondays in a row they miss trash pickup, then he's going to call the company and say, here's the 20 calls we got that, we had to take time away to deal with. You need to really address the situation. So it gives him that data to follow the complaints.
Any additional questions?
Works for me.
I just have a clarification comment again for folks listening. When someone calls for an issue, whether that's recycling, trash, water, whatever, they're still getting a person. This is only a system that's going to allow the tracking and consumption of information in an orderly fashion. It's not going to be, and I would not support one of these AIs you call up and you're talking to some computer and it takes you 20 minutes to get a person. That's not what we're talking about. So I know I was talking to someone earlier, and they're like, oh, no, not an AI that I'm going to call and talk to. I'm like, no, that's not what we're talking about.
No, sir, and that's a great point, Commissioner Howard. That's the Craven County way, is to talk to one of our employees. What this does is give our employee an outlet then to track that, enter it, assign it, follow up, and get to final resolution. There is no call bank, AI, or anything built inside where they're not going to deal with a human.
Thank you.
Okay, additional comments, questions? And just reiterate what's already been said, but this is sort of a trial for us.
Yes, sir.
See how it works. You know, if it turns out to be efficient and something that everybody thinks is beneficial, we would continue it on and hopefully expand it to other departments.
That's right, and speaking with Parth, who's the owner of Polymorphic, we've even, since we've done this agenda item, thought about adding in water, and he was agreeable to do that under the current fee. So water's another one where you got leaks or something going on where it's a good track. And so we'll probably start with those three, and then you're right, see how it goes. Maybe it applies to the sheriff's office at some point for those folks. So.
All right, any additional questions? Hearing none, what's the desire of the board?
I make a motion that we approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the budget amendment in the amount of $10,500. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, if you will, please call the roll.
Commissioner Mark,
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Booker,
Yes.
Chairman Jones.
Yes. Thank you both. All right, Commissioners, item 4 is the consent agenda. You have the minutes of the January 16th, 2024 regular session, tax releases and refunds. Planning, you have a street sign, a budget amendment, solid waste, a budget amendment, and in the sheriff's office, you have a budget amendment for the investigations, radars, kits. Are there any items you desire to pull from the consent agenda this evening?
Make a motion to accept.
All right, we have a motion to approve the consent
Second.
agenda and a second from Commissioner Mitchell. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Hear none, Madam Clerk, if you will, please call the roll.
Commissioner Mark,
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Booker,
Yes.
Chairman Jones.
Yes, thank you. All right, item 5, we had departmental matters. The first item we have on departmental matters is tax. We have with us Mr. Leslie Young, our tax administrator. Good evening.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for having me tonight. I'm here tonight in compliance with North Carolina General Statute 105-369, in particular letter C, that requires that I come before you each year, the first meeting in February, to report the amount of delinquent taxes still owed, in particular this fiscal year, 2023. It also requires, Chairman, that I receive an order to advertise the delinquent taxpayers in our New Bern Sun Journal. Tonight, however, I'm going to add a third matter that I'd like to talk to you about, and it's in regard to the delinquent taxpayer list. Okay? So let's get started. We'll jump right in. For tax year 2023, as of today, our delinquent tax amount is $2,312,297.89. 2312297.89. Our collection rate is 96.06%. That's as of today. Compared to last year at this time when I reported to you, the delinquent tax amount was $2,045,130.97. 2045130.97. That is a difference that we are behind this year compared to last year of $267,166.92. I want to take just a minute and update you regarding the list, the delinquent taxpayer list. On July 20th, I mailed the 2023 tax notices. And it's very clear on the tax notice that you have until January 5th to pay without interest. Now, on January 6th, if you have not paid your taxes in full, then you are now considered a delinquent taxpayer. Your taxes are delinquent. On January 18th, we send what we call a delinquent tax notice to the delinquent taxpayers who, for whatever reason, did not pay by January 5th. This year, we mailed 14,013 delinquent tax notices. This year, in compliance with the statute 369 letter C, it also charges that I'm to advertise this list of delinquent taxpayers in the New Bern Sun-Journal. That ad will be published in the New Bern Sun-Journal on Tuesday, April 23rd. Tuesday, April 23rd is when the the list of delinquent taxpayers will be advertised in the newspaper. You have until April 1st, 5 p.m., Monday, April 1st, 5 p.m., and if you have not paid your taxes by then in full, then your name will be in publication. What the statute also says in 369 is that I am to post this list in our county courthouse as well as all 8 municipalities. So instead of just the New Bern Sun-Journal that I think we're used to having, I'm also to post the list, which I will be doing on April 23rd. I will post the list in the Craven County Courthouse bulletin board there, and I will be going around to the county on April 23rd to post in all 8 municipalities. The fourth place, that I'm not going to stop there, but on April 23rd as well, I will be posting this list on our county website, cravencounty.nc.gov, the tax administration page, and on the front page you can click a link and see the list of all the delinquent taxpayers. The fifth resource that is of no additional cost as well is if you come into the tax department in the tax collection lobby, you will see a very large bulletin board. And we are in the works, and we'll have this probably by end of the week. But we are advertising the list of all the Craven County owned properties that are for sale, so that anyone who walks in our office there can see what's for sale by the county. It will post also the upcoming foreclosure sales in regard to Grady Quattlebaum that works on our foreclosure sales for us. It'll post when the sale is going to be. Now, on April 23rd, when this list comes out in the New Bern Sun-Journal and the other resources, we will be posting the list of delinquent taxpayers. So at no additional cost, we will include our website and the bulletin board. And then lastly, the other resource that any other form of media, any other person who wants a list of our delinquent taxpayers on April 23rd will be glad to provide that list. Now, you may wonder why I'm a little loud. In fact, I'm quite loud about our delinquent taxpayer list. You see, when we mailed the delinquent tax notices on January 18th, that was the cost of exactly $8,000 just to mail the 14,013 delinquent tax letters. That was a cost of $8,179.07. Last year, we had 6 pages in the New Bern Sun-Journal, and I expect this year's to be fairly similar to what we had last year. That ad cost $9,425. So you can see we're spending in excess of $17,000 to tell the delinquent taxpayer that you missed the January 5th and we've added 2% to your bill and that we're posting in the newspaper. So I'm bringing on these additional resources of posting the delinquent taxpayers, but it's of no cost to us. Okay? Again, delinquent taxpayers, you have until 5 o'clock on Monday, April 1st, to pay your taxes in full to avoid any of these publications. Okay? At this time, Chairman, I don't have anything else, but if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer. If not, then I'm ready for the charge. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Where are most of the delinquents coming from? From big ones, small ones, medium ones?
It's a variety. And Commissioner Mark, it really is a variety. We have both who genuinely are struggling with their finances. But you have to remember, to mail them on July 20th to January 5th, that's 5.5 months that they've had their tax notice. And we also offer what we call a prepayment plan. There's no qualification. You just call our office, tell our staff, I want to set up a prepayment plan, and they get started right away. Okay? But there's a variety of those who are not paying attention to their personal finances, just simply not paying attention. And then there are those who are struggling, okay? But it's big and small.
Okay.
Commissioner Moore, the top 15 highest unpaid bills right now is about $500,000. Those 15 bills,
That's
just
what
put
I
that in
was looking at.
perspective.
Yeah. Okay.
Commissioner Mitchell?
Ma'am.
Do you have an explanation for this increase in almost $270,000 in missing tax revenue?
No. Unless it's just coming down to that delinquent taxpayers have gotten used to it. That's why I am being much more bold. I will tell you today that among 3 taxpayers, $55,000 was paid today. 276, no ma'am. No ma'am.
Leslie, I think.
Yes, sir.
Let me get Smith and then I'll get you.
You know, again, you'd have to look at the top 15 from last year and this year, but there's 1 or 2 really large unpaid bills at the moment
Okay.
that might be skewing that this year.
Okay.
One in particular.
Okay, do we have, not to risk violating anybody's privacy.
Sure.
But I'm going to assume that there is a concerted effort to reach out to these individuals.
Yes,
Yes.
that's what got 55,000 in today.
Yes, yes. Not only is our staff working now on bank attachments, wage garnishments, debt set-off, but Ari has already stepped in a little premature to offer his assistance, and it worked today. So,
All right, Commissioner Smith, did you have something?
Yes, I have a question.
yes, ma'am.
I'm curious to know if we've added people to the tax, businesses or where people bought businesses or home, have we added to the base of paying taxes? You understand
I'm
what
not sure I'm
asking?
clear. I'm sorry.
All right, say we had 30,000 people on tax roll last year. I know this is a fictitious number. Did the number go, did we get like 35,000 this year? Or did we get less? Have we added taxpayers or lost taxpayers? Or are we just dealing with the same numbers that are just not paying? You follow what I'm saying?
I do. I know this year we had 14,013. I don't know the number, but I can find the number of what we had last year, the number of folks, to see if that increased.
To my mind, I'm seeing us slowly, I see businesses coming up and people building homes, and I would think that that would increase our tax base, you know,
Yes.
be on the list.
Yes, ma'am, we have that growth.
You have that growth.
Yes, ma'am.
And yet you still have a great loss.
Yes. Some are what I call repeat offenders.
Okay.
And some are for the first time. Okay?
Vice Chair Booker?
When Mr. Grady approaches us and says, we've got a piece of property that we have foreclosed, that means they haven't paid the taxes for 3 years, 4 years? Can you give us a ballpark on that?
Yes, sir. We've got an informal criteria that is at least $500 of taxes due from whatever years, or is it 3 years delinquency? Because you got to remember, some of these parcels get, you know, a $12 tax bill every year, and it doesn't make sense to expend resources on that, because it's probably coming back to the county, and then when you sell it, you're not going to be able to record or recoup your cost, your attorney's fees and filing fees. But those are the general parameters we operate under, although this year we've started a discussion, do we need to accelerate that, particularly for what we're now calling the top 10 list? I mean, on that list are what I would characterize as egregious offenders, people that have the ability to pay and should have paid by now, should have paid by the end of the year. Some are repeat offenders, and the list is available. I'm sure Jack and Leslie can share it with you, but it's a list of folks that you scratch your head and say, what in the world? And the call I had today with one taxpayer, it sounded like a bona fide administrative error, with out-of-state property owner, a company, and they resolved it. I mean, it's been resolved, so our collective efforts are having some success, but some of these delinquencies are really, truly astounding, to be honest, and they're not folks on the top 15 list that, are struggling financially. It's just really hard to understand, to be honest.
Then my second part of that question is, give me the number again of how many, if today was April 1st, how many names would go on that list, or how many parcels?
I don't know yet, because.
I mean, but if it was, give me just a ballpark.
All right, if we started with 14,013, we could be right now, between then and now, maybe 13,000.
Okay, so of the 13,000 parcels, correct?
Could be.
Could be one person with 10 parcels. Okay, but that many parcels. Do you have any idea, and I don't expect you to have this answer, but I'm just curious, how many of those people are behind multiple years? In other words, they're not just due from this past year, and they're a month or two behind. They didn't pay a year ago, and they didn't pay 2 years ago, but they're not far enough behind yet that we're going to foreclose on them. Is it the majority that are more than 1 year behind, or more than this past year?
Mr. Booker, let me make sure. It's $500 or 3 years. So you could be 1 year behind at $1,500, and we will start the process in year one.
Okay.
So there's varying degrees of folks depending on where they are in the foreclosure process or where they are with Leslie on things. But generally, no one's more than 3 years behind without being in for the foreclosure process with Aries' office. I mean, he's assigned to his office.
So you got a whole bunch of people then that are in the foreclosure process.
Yes, sir. I don't know the number off of the top of my head, but each list that we get annually has a couple of hundred usually.
It averages about 150 that we send over to Aries' office.
And you may.
I would just add, based on what you said before, it shocked me when we were working in James City trying to get properties cleaned up, and when we look at a property of a house that's just a derelict, overgrown mess, and when we inquired what is the tax value on that, it was, help me, Jack, under $100?
Yeah.
Yeah. So their annual taxes on that parcel were like, I think one was $68. $68 a year, and they're paying it. Somebody's paying it, or at least they're not so far behind. But and I think it was owned by a family, and the grandmother died, and so on and so forth. So I guess my point is, when we think about this, I think a lot of people don't realize that we've got a lot of parcels that are very low value in their tax value. Am I accurate when I say that?
I believe so, and that's one of the changes that I'm making in my department, is to work with our chief appraiser, Justin Deese, to review the delinquent list and review those appraised values. You have to remember as well, we have personal property on here. And that's one of the things I've worked with Kayla Sawyer, the personal property manager, in these last 2 years, is she's going through what I call dead accounts that don't exist. We take them off the roll, okay?
So a personal property could be just a trailer sitting on a lot. That trailer is personal property.
Yes, sir.
If it's got a hitch and wheels, right?
That's right. Yes, sir.
Can be moved.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, additional questions?
Let me say one more reminder. To avoid this publication, your taxes must be paid in full by 5 o'clock on Monday, April 1st. Okay? All right.
I have a question, Jason.
Yes, sir.
I know that you have to publish because of statute.
Yes, sir.
Does it say, because, I think ET made the comment of the how many people get the Sun Journal right now. Not many. And if it's $9,000, could we publish elsewhere and get better bang for our buck? Does it have to be the Sun Journal?
Statute said it has to be in general circulating newspaper. That's the New Bern Sun Journal.
So, okay, that's your
And it's, and just as you said, getting the bang for our buck, the statute also says that I'm to post at New Bern Sun Journal, I'm to post at the courthouse, the county courthouse, and the 8 municipalities. So there's that requirement, but I'm also, for no additional cost, the website, our tax collection lobby, and anyone else who wants it.
So can I speak to that for a second? So
Yes, sir.
what you gotta think in perspective, all this money that's uncollected isn't all Craven counties. It's your volunteer fire departments, it's your municipalities. I mean, Leslie's collecting everything there. So a lot of the funds that we see are supposed to go to other people, other government entities as well.
Yes, sir.
How much of it is automobile?
None. We collect no motor,
No,
that's all
that's
collected
right.
at the state level now.
I said that.
You basically can't be in arrears on that because you can't get your license tag renewed.
All right, additional questions?
No, sir, and I will make a motion that we approve Ms. Young to publish this in the Sun Journal.
Second motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to order tax administrator to advertise the 2023 tax liens in the New Bern Sun Journal, and you heard the other areas in which she will post also. Is there any further discussion on the motion? The only thing I will say is the state of our economy is not good. I mean, I've heard the comments that's been made. We talk about some of the larger folks not paying, but if you take and look at those that are on fixed incomes.
Yes, sir.
And so many that I talk to every day. And I'm not just pointing out senior citizens, but trying to live off of Social Security, and everything in the world is going up. And, there's some critical times in this county. And I reckon one of the worst things I can say about this role of being a servant of the people is when you get past this process and you get to where it's being foreclosed on and it's going for sale at the courthouse steps. And, we've had people in our community that I've known of that, folks got together and contributed to those individuals so they could go and try to buy it at the courthouse steps. There's some bad situations right here in this county as there is across America. And the state of our economy, I will say it again, is not good.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mr. Chairman. I think we get reports that the stock market is doing so good and so forth, but the average person doesn't have their money in the stock market.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We've had a discussion. No more discussion. Madam Clerk, I'm going to ask you to call the roll on this, please.
Commissioner Mark?
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Howard?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Booker?
Yes.
Chairman Jones?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
All right, Commissioners, item 6 is appointments. You have before you the pending, current, and upcoming. Do we have any nominations for any pending? All right, here none, we will move to current. We have several here. The first one is the Craven Aging Planning Board. Commissioner Smith, you serve on that board. You have here Ms. Lydia Brown, who is eligible for reappointment.
I recommend her for reappointment.
Okay, we have the nomination of Ms. Lydia Brown. Do we have additional nominations? Here none, we will accept her by acclamation. Next, you have Emergency Medical Services, Jebediah Stansel from the Fort Balmore EMS seeks reappointment. Commissioners, that is in District 2. I would ask that he be appointed. I nominate him. Are there additional nominations? Here none, we will accept Ms. Stansel by acclamation. And then Fire Tax Commissioner, you have a vacancy that has come up in the Harlow Fire District. You have a applicant of Carlos
Kalazewski.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Hunt and I did talk about this. She's not here tonight. She did ask that the board would consider nomination of this individual.
So moved.
Okay, we have that nomination. Are there additional nominations? Here none, we will set by acclamation. Are there any other current that we have forgotten? All right, here none, we will go to upcoming terms expiring. You see those, commissioners, and we ask you to take consideration of those. Anything else under appointments tonight? Here none, we will move now to item 7, which is the county attorney's report. Mr. Grady. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. I will apologize in advance for the length of my report, but
You say this is all above?
yeah, this is everything. I'm taking up my time for the rest of the year. But it is good in its own way in that we have numerous surplus properties coming over from the city of New Bern after approval. So at the end of the day, it's a good thing for the county and the taxpayers. But I'll jump in and start going through these. The first one is a final approval after expiration of the upset bid period. It's 817 Murray Street. It is within the city of New Bern with a parcel ID number of 8-007-150. The final bid amount was $3,900. The original past due taxes and the cost of foreclosure together were $4,662.14, and the tax value of the property is $7,800. The city has given its blessing and final approval, and I would recommend that the commissioners do likewise.
I make a motion that we go along with the city.
All right, we have the motion.
Second.
I have a second to adopt resolution approving conveyance, partial ID 8-007-150. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed.
Thank you. The second item is an initial offer to purchase for 1017 Bloomfield Street, also in the city of New Bern, with a parcel ID number of 8-006-206. The offer amount is $3,000. The original taxes and cost of foreclosure together were $10,485.53. The tax value on the property is $6,000. The city of New Bern has already given its preliminary approval, and I would suggest that the commissioners consider doing likewise.
So moved.
We have a motion, have a second?
Second.
I have a second. It is to adopt the resolution approving transaction and authorizing upset bid process for 8-006-206. Any discussion on the motion? Hear none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed.
Yes, sir.
For the record, for the board, because I don't know this information's actually, no one's here to speak on it, but when the city heard these, the intention of using, you're going to hear about 7 more, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
This was a proposal the city got for someone to buy these and place tiny houses on them. There was a newspaper article about a month ago. We had some correspondence with the local news. We haven't received that information, but just to give you context of why so many at one time.
Okay.
The third one is, let's see, this is 1013 Bloomfield Street with a parcel ID number of 8-006-208, also in the city of New Bern. The offer amount is $3,000. The original taxes and cost of foreclosure were $15,032.34. The parcel has a tax value of $6,000, and as with the others, the city has given its initial approval, and I would suggest the commissioners consider doing likewise.
Make a motion. Second.
We have a motion and a second from Commissioner Smith. Any discussion on the motion? Hear none, the motion is to adopt the resolution approving transaction, authorizing upset bid process for 8-006-208. Any further discussion on the motion? Hear none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed.
Thank you. The fourth item is 1302 William Street with a parcel ID number of 8-013-065, also within the city of New Bern. The offer amount is $3,000. The past due taxes and the cost of foreclosure were originally $3,302.73, and the tax value on the parcel was $6,000. The city of New Bern has given its initial approval to this, and I would ask the commissioners consider doing the same this evening.
Make a motion to accept.
All right, we have a motion. I have a second to adopt the resolution approving transaction, authorizing upset bid process for 8-013-065. Any discussion on the motion? Hear none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed.
Thank you. Item 5 is another initial offer to purchase for 1411 Garden Street, parcel ID number 8-013-063-A is in Apple. It's also in the city of New Bern. We have a bid amount of $3,000. The original taxes and cost of foreclosure were $3,239.14. The tax value of the property is $6,000. The city has given initial approval to this one. As with the others, I would suggest the board.
Motion to accept.
Yes, sir.
All right, we have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution approving transaction, authorizing upsaid bid process for 8-013-063A. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
I feel like my career as an amateur auctioneer is in jeopardy. So, the next item is 1407 Garden Street in New Bern. It's parcel ID number of 8-013-064. We've got an offer amount of $2,700. The taxes and cost of foreclosure were $6,124.07. The tax value on the parcel is $5,400. The city has given preliminary approval to this, and I would ask the commissioners do likewise.
All right, what's the desire of the board?
Make a motion to accept.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution approving transaction, authorizing upsaid bid process for 8-013-064. Any discussion on the motion? Hear none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Okay. Item 7 is 1904 Washington Street, also in the city of New Bern. We've got a parcel ID number of 8-070-012. The offer amount is $10,000. The past due taxes and the cost of foreclosure were $2,925.31. The tax value on the parcel was $20,000. The city has given preliminary approval on this, and I recommend the commissioners
Motion to accept.
also.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution approving transaction, authorizing upsaid bid process for 8-070-012. Is any discussion on the motion? Hear none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
The next one is a little bit of an unusual parcel. It's for 165 E Street over in Bridgeton. It's parcel 2-004-009. And it's unusual because it was not acquired by the county through what I call the modern tax foreclosure process. And it was in fact acquired by the county from a tax foreclosure in 1952 for a grand total of $394.71. The county's been aware that the property's been out there in the county's name for some years, but it's again not on the surplus property list or something that we've been advertising. Based on that, I did have a really detailed discussion with the bidder to make sure that he understands that we offer no warranties of title, and he gets what he gets with this, which is the case in most tax foreclosures, but we have a high level of assurance as to the underlying title because we just did the tax foreclosure. But nobody can go back to 1952 and check the file on this. In any event, the bidder has offered $5,000, and the tax value is $11,170. This is owned entirely by the county, so there's no town of Bridgeton approval required. It's just completely up to us, and we've got the documents prepared in your agenda should you want to approve it at that amount so we can move forward, but it's open to the board's direction.
All right.
So moved.
Question.
Oh, well, I got a motion on the floor first. So I got a motion to approve. Do I have a second? We have a second. Okay, discussion. Commissioner Mark, we'll start with you and then go to Commissioner Smith.
No, I was
Oh, you
just
didn't
going-
have none? Okay, Commissioner Smith.
I'm hearing that this property is located near several businesses, adjacent to several businesses. And I suggest that we might hold this for a short while and look at the possibility of selling this as commercial property. Does that sound reasonable or possible?
Yes, ma'am. The, decision is entirely within the discretion of this board if you want to hold it or if you want to counteroffer with a different amount. That's also a possibility. I will tell you that this particular bidder last year got right on the edge of making a bid. I believe it was $8,000, but never followed through with it, and he's come back now at a lower amount. So it certainly would be reasonable if the board would like to go back with a counteroffer, but it's absolutely in the discretion of the board.
So there's about, and I'm looking at the aerial photograph in your packet. There's about 12 parcels in a line if you're coming on 17 north. And they are, a few of them are owned by this individual. A few of them are already in tax foreclosure currently. A few of them are owned. What it appears is that this was heir property way back when. It got split up 12 or 14 ways, and this one just happened to never pay taxes. I think they're pulling it up there so you can see. To your left, if you're continuing north, that's the Shell gas station. Behind it's the Blueberry Farm. Just past the Shell station is the new ABC store. And directly across the street from this property is the Hardee's, to Commissioner Smith's point. But you can see the corner there, go up, Steve, to the north. Yeah, you got a large tract there, and then the two coming that way are all under one ownership. And then the blue outline is the one we're in question about tonight.
My observation is the only access this parcel will have is from the small road behind it, because you're not going to get access from 17.
No.
The only way you would get access, and depending on, you're exactly right, would be to use the cut-through road there between the Shell station and the first property, or what I refer to, Commissioner Mark and I do, the Blueberry Road. I don't know what its real name is. It's just what it's called, but that, you're right, sir.
Being the district manager in there, I would gladly since 1952, gladly get rid of it.
All right, additional questions? The only thing I wanted to ask you is you made the statement that there may be other properties that are being foreclosed in that area?
I'm pretty sure two of those tracks
Are they
to the
adjacent?
south of this are assigned to Aries' office right now.
Are they adjacent to this property?
I don't have that information. I don't believe so, sir. I believe they're closer. Can you see where the Blueberry Road bends back? I believe it's in that general vicinity, not the house. It's right there where Steve's cursor is, the little arrow. It's in that general vicinity. I don't believe any of them abut this property.
Okay. All right, additional questions?
Is the gentleman making the bid own any of the properties next to it?
I believe he owns the first three.
Okay, so it's a huge value to him to combine those properties. That's what.
Could we go back to the picture here for a second? And blow it up a little bigger. I'd like, no, I'm sorry, smaller. I want to see I want to see the roads going by the big property to the, yes. So if you look at the property on the corner and then the next three parcels, they're not going to have access on the frontage of 17, but they do on the road going between the gas station and the.
I think Commissioner Smith, and I don't want to speak for her, maybe this isn't what she meant, but when you add those first four parcels, you've got a commercial real estate site there.
Yes.
Capable of developing either a gas station, if you look at the same size, something of that nature. It's still not, again, we're talking about, it's just a little over 1/10 of an acre, this piece. It's not very big. So you have to have several of them.
Plus you got a water problem there too.
Well, yeah, that's right. You got to handle the sewer and you got to handle,
What about the other business, the other properties that they have water and sewer?
Well, they've been raised up, some of them.
Well, but I would like to,
We're looking at the possibility.
I would like to pull my motion and put this on hold until this issue has been studied a little bit further.
All right.
Am I allowed to do that, Mr. Attorney?
If the second will be withdrawn as well.
Yeah, I'll withdraw.
Okay.
I'd like to, I think this deserves a little more.
So the new motion is to table this matter.
Table this,
Can we have some further discussion with
Yes.
the bidder? Okay, thank you.
Okay,
yes.
so we got
Yes.
a motion to table.
Second.
We got a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of tabling it, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioners. The last item involves the Public Safety Training Center out in the Industrial Park. As you may all recall, the county previously agreed to a lease with the community college. It was basically a lot that had been given to the local Firemen's Association decades ago for a fire training facility. That never came to fruition. The county received the property back, and in turn, the community college said, well, we can use it for much the same purpose. We'd like to lease it and move forward with that. The college has come back and basically asked for an amendment to the lease based on requirements of some of the state funding that they're receiving. The amendments are fairly simple. It's changing it to a 40-year lease, and we've also got a provision added that if we terminate the lease without good cause, we will owe the cost of the improvements amortized over the life of the lease back to the college so they can in turn reimburse the grant funds. Your management team and your legal counsel don't have any problems with these terms, and we suggest the board approve them.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the lease. Any additional discussion on the motion? Madam Clerk, I'm going to ask you to call the roll on that one.
Commissioner Mark,
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Booker,
Yes.
Chairman Jones.
Yes.
Okay?
Thank you.
That concludes my report. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it, Gary. All right, item 8, petition of citizens, general topics. Mr. Vice Chair.
Yeah, we have two people. The first one is Ray Griffin.
All right, and we would, before you start, Mr. Griffin, just remind, I should have done this earlier, but remind our speakers we have 3 minutes to make remarks. Good evening, sir.
Amen. God bless you. Ray Griffin, Vansport, North Carolina. We got to talk fast. Just by listening to you, we have become a nation of greed. We're not no longer a nation of need, and we've compromised our values, and compromise is deceitful. The very nation of compromise is deceit, whether it's political, social, national, or local, mental or physical. Compromise is spread by those who deceive. A strong stand is spread by those who tell the truth and show the people the result of compromise. Compromise is a failure to continue in the things we have learned and been assured of. When fighting for the right, we must never cease until we prevail. The battle is not always ours. It's won by the strongest, the smartest, or the most elite, but ultimately it comes to those who possess and preserve. While we have much to admire and love for America, and we should call America our home, our nation is rapidly drifting from its very foundations. We must take seriously our responsibility to put America first, not only in our homes, but in our national affairs and our local affairs. What used to make us angry today, we just tolerate. The world is changing every day. Wall Street is saying, check your numbers. The politicians have embraced a lawless generation. Life is cheap, and they have no remorse. The truth has fallen in the streets. This generation today has to follow the truth and fall in prey, and the truth is ill-defended and in short supply. Beer joints on every corner. Look at what's going on in America. What can we expect? The other day I paid $700 to get some fuel, about what it was for a month. Taxes on that fuel were $50. Think about it. Same thing, you're raising taxes on houses. Now the tax on insurance is going up. It's jumped 40%. Housing now is ballooning out. They've charged so much for them, till now houses are not selling. Who's brought all this on? The American greed, trying to make that almighty dollar. Marijuana is being made legal. Abortion now is legal, and rampant gambling is everywhere. Our teenagers are running loose, and they have no morals, and they seem to just everything is going crazy. Education in school has become a mockery. Education without God makes man a clever devil. And that's what we're getting in today. We need to vote for the truth, fly the American flag, lift up America, stand up, get prayed up, get fired up, and keep on looking up. A lot of the problems you could solve, this problem could be solved. We've raised taxes, we've raised everything, there's anything in here that we can look at we don't pay a tax on. Go to the grocery store, go everywhere. Whatever you buy, tires, you pay taxes on every little thing. Smoking, look at your light bill, what they've done now. Put another extra tax on that. How many of you remember we used to get a light bill, they didn't charge sales tax. Now they charge 3 and 4 different types of tax. We're being taxed to death. The world is saying, Eric, merit, steal it, get it any way you can. And sad, the teenagers in this world are going absolutely crazy.
Thank you, Reverend Griffin. Thank you, sir.
Next speaker would be Mr. Albert Lester.
Good evening, sir.
Good afternoon. Good evening. My name is Albert Lester. I live at 706 Badger Lane, Havelock, North Carolina. I just want to thank the board for the support of all the programs that come before the board, and we really appreciate you guys' time, effort, and looking into all this stuff. And the city manager spoke on this, I think, earlier. GDS, if GDS could give the city government that they serve outside the county, outside this area here, a heads up if they're going to be more than 2 days. Since December of 2023, they went through the holiday period where for some reason they're not back on track yet. Down in the Havelock area, we went approximately 6 days without a GDS coming through. And the last GDS that came through, I believe it's second week in January, he came through our neighborhood. It was like 7:30 at night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, is that it, Vice Chair?
That's it.
All right. All right, next would be item 9 is County Manager's Report.
Let's hope he doesn't talk as long as council.
No, the county attorney took a lot of my time tonight, and I appreciate my good friend, Mr. Lester, promoting me to city manager tonight. No, that's good. I appreciate it, sir. Thank you for your comments. You're exactly right. Commissioners, at your place, you have a bound book. This is the county's audit. It's being presented to you 2 weeks in advance as board policy, and you will receive your presentation on February the 19th. So please take it home. Mr. Warren will have his team here on the 19th to present the audit, but I can give you a little foreword. It was a really good one, and Craig's team worked hard this year with a lot of challenges downstairs, but did a great job with it. So it's to you tonight. Second, I'm going to invite the sheriff up. I do have an item that's a little bit unorthodox for us. It came up late Friday. The sheriff and I had what we're calling a pre-budget meeting Friday, spent some time together. And one of the primary things we've been discussing for a couple of years is the departure of the Dodge Charger vehicle that the sheriff has used for many, many years. It's the only sedan that's still made that's police rated. And when I say it's still made, I mean this is the last year. So orders were in. Last year, the sheriff worked with the county, and we ordered quite a few, knowing it was the last time. And come to find out, when his staff was researching vehicles for next year, that several of these vehicles were ordered by local North Carolina law enforcement agency and were not taken, meaning they decided not to purchase them, so they've become available to other agencies. And talking with the sheriff, and I certainly want him to speak for his programs, but this is a great opportunity for us. I put at each of your packages a budget amendment for $280,000, $325,000. What this would cover would be 6 Dodge Chargers, along with the outfitting of those vehicles, And what we would do is go ahead and preload those now in lieu of budgeting 6 vehicles next year when we do our budget in June. So this would be an advance purchase. Again, this will be the last opportunity we have. And just before the sheriff comes up, he provided me a sheet of paper earlier. Your next closest option for a police-rated vehicle is approximately $46,000, and it goes up from there into the 50s. So anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 savings per vehicle here over what we're going to have to start looking at as we move forward. So, Sheriff, I'm going to turn the floor to you and let you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, sir.
Commissioners, thank you for allowing us to get in at this late time, but this is an opportunity. I want to give credit to my staff for finding these chargers. They're not out there. They're no longer in production, and we can't get them. Luckily, there's been a couple agencies for some reason that chose not to take theirs. So a week ago, there were 40-some of them available. Right now, there's 6 that are tentatively being held for Craven County pending the outcome of tonight's meeting. As the county manager said, this gives us an opportunity to go ahead and get these vehicles. It will be 6 less than we will ask for in the budget because these will be, like I said, preloaded. But the purchase of these vehicles will result in a savings to the county of $65,000 to $107,000 by the purchase of these vehicles, because at budget time they will not be available, and the vehicles that we would be left with, which are no sedans, are all SUVs or pickup trucks. And they range from, like the county manager said, the next closest to us is $46,000 and change, all the way up to almost $54,000. So we're very fortunate this opportunity has presented itself. I'm asking that we please take advantage of it. Like I said, it's going to be a huge cost-saving measure to the county for us to get them. And it's a shame that they're not going to make these anymore, because right now they are the biggest bang for the buck, and they last us about 150,000 miles.
Okay, questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the budget amendment of $280,325, correct?
And we're saving $60,000.
Yep.
A minimum of.
If we go ahead and do it now. All right, we have the motion and a second. Discussion on the motion. The only question I would have is, how long will it take to get them upfitted and they get them on the road?
Well, we get them all upfitted locally out in Fort Barnwell. The soonest we can, the sooner we can have them delivered, which, pending the outcome of this and a PO is issued, then they can be delivered almost immediately, and then it will take anywhere from 30 to 60 days to get them on the road. Outfitting, marking, stuff like that. So,
all right. Any additional questions?
Not a question, but just a comment. I find it interesting, after 100+ years of cars being built, there's only one car, sedan, being built in the United States starting next year, and that's a Ford Mustang. Every other car is gone. You have to buy an SUV or a crossover. Sedans that we've been buying for 100 years, there are no more. You can still buy them, but you have to. They're only Toyotas, Hondas, none of the American brands.
well, it is, for our transport vehicles that we're transporting across the state every day, and our patrol vehicles and our civil vehicles, it is imperative that we have a 4-door vehicle.
Yep.
Because that's where we're sitting the people that are transported in a secure location. So it's going to present new challenges for us, and unfortunately, none of these SUVs are in this price range.
Okay. Any additional questions, comments? All right, hear none. Again, the budget amendments for $280,325. Madam Clerk, if you will call.
Commissioner Mark,
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Booker,
Yes.
Chairman Jones.
Yes, motion passed. Thank you. Sheriff, while you're standing there, if you don't mind, County Manager, you got anything to share with us, sir?
I don't, other than, we're continuing to aggressively go after the drug traffickers. As we have all sat in on the meetings on our opioid epidemic that we're still dealing with, I believe it's beyond an epidemic, whatever that might be. We're going to continue our aggressive enforcement actions, but also the great things that we're doing now in our confinement facility to get these people that want help, the help they need, and a pathway to healthy living and being a productive member of society. So once again, that's a huge investment that y'all have made as well. And I thank you for that, because I can tell you no sheriff in this state ever thought they were going to have to become mental health professionals. So without the resources that y'all have helped put in place, we would not be successful. And we've got a lot of successful stories.
Any questions for the sheriff from anyone? Not. Thank you, sir, for being here. Appreciate it. All right, Mr. County Manager.
Yes, sir. I'll just finish up with a couple updates. February 13th, we have a tour scheduled for Cherry Point, as requested by this board. There should be an agenda at your place tonight. There's some information Nan still needs to retrieve from you prior to that trip, so if you'll follow up with her after the meeting. Look forward to an all-day, appears to be 8:45 to 3:30, and we'll be partnering with Pamlico County commissioners from there and staff on the tour. Last week was a great week. I was able to do a lot of engagement outside the office, which haven't done a whole lot of that, and at least that much in a week in a while. But really good groups, a lot of interest in county government, a lot of things. Important things were discussed, but most importantly, I think the sheriff just alluded to it, was the program that Amber and her team in the opioid epidemic response program put together, I believe it was last Wednesday, and the feedback that we received as a county for some of the needs in the county. And I just want to thank Amber and her team for putting together a really great night, a really great presentation. And some of the facts have resonated with me, some of the charts that Eric went over with you. And just for the record, some of the charts show that we had still some very high rates when it comes to death by overdose, emergency room visits, and fentanyl in the drugs that folks are overdosing from here. It's a really sad story, but it makes the work we're doing worthwhile. There's a lot of programs, and I'm pleased to announce for the record that we've signed a contract with the Healing Place of New Hanover County. We have 6 beds there for citizens of Craven County. Commissioner Booker has been in that facility, saw the program firsthand. I would encourage you, if you have time, I'd be happy to go back with you to do that. It's really a meaningful program, a lot of good results there. And also, I spoke to a civic club last week, really great, almost 100 people in the room. But one of the things I said, and it was prompted by a question from the audience, was we were talking about the needs of public schools, right? And Dr. Miller and Stacy were here tonight. And I said 3 numbers to the group, and I saw a few folks over the weekend like, I just can't believe what you said. But it's a new elementary school, in today's dollars, is 50 to 60 million. Middle school is 80 to 90 million, and a high school is 120 million. Just to put that out. I mean, those are real numbers that other counties are spending across this state. And unfortunately, one of the things that's hampered us is our ability to receive some of the grants that the state provides because of our tier status. Our tier status meaning we're a relatively, in the state size, wealthy, prosperous county, so that counts us out a lot for the educational money that's there. But the way the system works, some of our peer counties that we benchmark against, Pitt and Onslow, are considered some of the poorest counties in the state. So there's definitely a flaw there. It's something that needs to be worked on. But I want those numbers to be out there because when you look at tax rates across North Carolina, counties that have higher tax rates build schools. And it's almost 20 to 30 cents more than what you'd see in a Craven or some of the other counties. So just put that in perspective. But, Mr. Chairman, I'm here if there's any questions for me or anything I can handle for you tonight.
Any questions from the board?
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, Commissioner's report. Who'd like to begin this evening?
I have nothing to
All
report.
right, Commissioner Mark, we'll begin with you. Commissioner Smith, you want to go next?
I would like to announce that Craven Smart Start has been in Craven County for 25 years, and there's a celebration on Saturday at the Harrison Center from, I think it's from 9 to 11, and we'd love to see some county commissioner there part of that time. We appreciate you coming.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Howard.
I'd just like to thank Jack, Chad Strong, and others. As you know, you have a town hall, then of course that's always followed up, or HOA meeting that you attend. That's always followed up with a lot of complaints and issues that citizens need to be addressed. And I've of course stayed busy on the phone with those folks, and they've addressed the issues quickly, or they're working on those issues. So thank you guys for that. I'll also say, Mr. Lester, I hear your concern about the trash pickup. That's been echoed in Carolina Pines, Croatan Crossing, and other areas multiple times, and I can guarantee you Jack staff's aware of it, and they've been working on it. So thank you for that concern.
Thank you. Commissioner Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was at the civic meeting when our county manager spoke and watched people's jaws drop at the numbers on the schools. And I think one of the things that many citizens are not aware of is that it is the county that funds school construction. I think a lot of people think it comes from the state or the federal government. No, our citizens fund our schools with their tax dollars. So as we're out and about, it's probably worth reiterating that because I don't think that is widely known. With it, and the other comment is last board meeting, or earlier this year, we voted to approve the purchase of a 2.5-acre plot between New Bern proper and River Bend to put in what I'm calling a new mega branch library. The response from citizens has been not just overwhelmingly positive, it's when are you starting with it. So we clearly have met a need that I have not heard one negative comment. It was like, what's taken you so long? I think that's really positive, and it speaks to this board's willingness to address citizens' concerns about more library services and more community center services for an underserved area for our students out there. That's it.
Thank you. Vice Chair Booker.
Yeah, just one thing. In January, Saturday, the 19th, I believe, or the 18th, somewhere along in there, we had a group from Legal Aid, thank you, came to James City, to the community center, and had a great presentation on why you need a will, and then they are going to assist people who want assistance preparing a will. We had a good turnout. I was surprised maybe 20 people showed up for something like that. I didn't expect that. And of the 20 people in the room, there was only one person who had a will. And I guess that shouldn't surprise us too much, but I think when the presentation was done, I think a lot of people made their mind up they need to get a will. So it was good, and it was free to the public, and they're going to be doing another one in Harlow, I believe, or
It happened, that was on January 27th, also well attended from what I understand.
not January 27th.
Yeah, it's already passed.
Okay.
It was January 27th.
So
Yours
they
was the
had
20th.
theirs already.
Yeah, yes,
Okay,
sir.
so we've had 2 in our county, and I think it just points out there are probably thousands of people in our county who don't have wills, and I know once you're dead, it doesn't matter to you, but it may matter to your heirs, your family. If you want the state to decide where your assets go, just don't have a will, and then the state will take care of it. And if you like that option, then there's something wrong with you. So
Is that it?
that's it.
All right. I have nothing to bring before the board. Staff, you got anything else? All good? All commissioners good? All right. Hearing nothing else, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I got to catch Leslie real quick.